Women of ICE are all from all nationalities. We have so many that are first-generation Americans that just want to serve their country, and they want to be federal law enforcement officers. And it's really bad to politicize law enforcement in any aspect, but to take cheap shots at the men and women who put their lives on the line every day to go out there and serve the nation, to make their community safe. And it's just not a time and place for any type of elected officials to use, the fact of a racial profiling in reverse, targeting the men and women of law enforcement.
For more on immigration reform, visit our website, afn.net. Illinois wants to make it more difficult to own a firearm. Fox's Evan Brown explains.
Illinois' new law coming on the books on January 1st is one that could seriously impact families. The Illinois Safe Gun Storage Act requires firearms in the home be locked up when minors, even older teens, are present in the home unless the owner of the firearm is carrying it on their person, again within their home. While its supporters like Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who signed it, say it will increase safety for children, the law's detractors say it leaves open the possibility that a minor or even an at-risk adult who enters the home could make the gun-possessing homeowner non-compliant without even knowing. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Turning Point USA members say the organization will continue to expand on America's college and university campuses despite pushback. AFN's Bronson Woodruff has more.
Emma Martin of Millersville University and Sophia Gotti of Montclair University spoke recently at America Fest to Fox News. Both young ladies are Turning Point USA chapter presidents at their universities. Gotti said interest in her campus's Turning Point chapter exploded after Charlie Kirk's killing.
People are talking on campus more, and I feel like it's less taboo that we have a chapter on campus.
Emma Martin said she and a few others started the TPUSA chapter on Millersville University's campus.
It took a while to even get our chapter started and approved. We had a lot of insults and a lot of pushback even on social media, but now we're seeing a lot of traction.
Gotti said she hears from women that their faith matters most to them.
It's just with the world and hookup culture and all the worldly things.
Gotti said in effect that society has misled young people.
Society tells us one thing, and we're really meant for more. And it's hard because it feels like wanting traditional values and following Christ, it's taboo.
Gotti agreed that Charlie Kirk changed that. Martin said she's seeing that women are finally being encouraged to really step out in what they believe.
For so long, we've been told, it's embarrassing to stay home with your kids and to not pursue the career. But now I think we're really seeing a shift, and women are saying, no, it's okay to be provided for and to biblically be a woman and be called what God says that we're called to. And so I think we're really feeling encouraged, and we're like, no, I can preach the gospel, and I do have a voice, and I can be a light on my campus or in, around the world and in the culture right now.
I'm Bronson Woodruff.
If you're going to the Rose Parade in Pasadena this Thursday, take an umbrella with you. There is a 90% chance of rain, and it could be the first time in decades that it may impact the Southern California Parade. It's rained only 10 times in the Rose Parade's history. That's all our time for now. Find more news on afn.net. When you're there, be sure to subscribe to our free daily email news briefs. You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on X. I'm Chris Woodward. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, Tim Wildman here. We've got some great tours lined up in 2026. Washington, D.C., George Washington's Mount Vernon, Colonial Williamsburg, historic Jamestown, Boston, Massachusetts, and that greater area. So much to see and do in 2026. If you want information on any of these trips, go to wildmangroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we'll see you on one of our tours in 2026.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Tuesday, December the 30th, 2025. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim Wildman with Wesley Wildman. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
Chris Woodward.
Good morning.
These two gentlemen are in studio with me here in Tupelo, MS, and in Hudson, Florida area is our good friend Ray Pritchard. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Tim. How are you on this? This is New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah, New Year's Eve. Well, I got to the office this morning, and the parking lot's empty because there's no people that come to work on except the people who are out of vacation days.
I felt like I needed to reintroduce myself. It's been 2 weeks since I've been on.
Well,
so,
that's true. You've been out hunting Bambi, haven't you,
That's
Wesley?
right, I have. I've had a good time doing that. But listen, there's more important things to be doing.
Right. Well,
And I'm out of time off.
It is deer season for a lot of the country, right?
You like I did that? There's more important things to do, and I don't have any more time off.
Right. Well, that's true. There are more. Anyway, and on the road to work this morning, and I'm sure this is true across the country, just there was very few cars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very few cars out there. So anyway, we hope you're having a wonderful Christmas/New Year's break for those of you who are still in the workforce. For those of you who aren't, it's just another day. Just another day. All right, it is Tuesday, December the 30th, though. It is New Year's Eve, as Ray says. And so if you started read through the Bible in January and you're just now in Matthew,
You better be a speed reader.
you're about to fail.
That's right. Or you're going to have to stay up all night.
Hey, let me just say this, and Ray, I guess you can go back and still watch the video series you did from 2024, right?
Sure, and there are people who've been riding this bus now, Bible bus, with me for, well, this is the third year. We started 2023, 2024, 2025, and so I'm amazed at the number of people who just hop on. And today, today we are in Revelation 19 and 20, and then tomorrow Revelation 21 and 22, and we wrap up, and then on January 1st, start all over again.
Yeah, I wanted to make people aware of this because who are new to American Family Radio. Ray Pritchard, our good friend and colleague who's with us Tuesdays and Thursdays, he has his home ministry called Keep Believing. And was it in 2024 you did the video series?
23.
Okay. So in 2023, what Ray did was he video recorded a Bible reading daily for the whole year and completed through the Bible, right, Ray?
That's right. And there are 365 videos. They are on the Keep Believing website. We've got it, Tim, in audio. It's on Spotify and iTunes and, whatever the other big one is. So if people want to listen to it audio-wise, they can do that. But we've got 365 videos. The series is called Let's Read the Bible.
Okay.
So all you have to do is go to keepbelieving.com. Right up there at the top, you'll see the link that says Let's Read the Bible. Click on it, and it's arranged by months and then by days. So you can, if you want to start today and read with us as we read through Revelation 19 and 20, you can do that. But all of them, you can pick any day of the year, start any day you want.
Now, what about commentary? Wesley wants to talk here. I'm going to let him, but I'm going to let him. I'm going to let him. You're my son. Well, you're my adult son, so you do what you want. But anyway, still your elder.
Right.
So I want to add, you give commentary there, right?
I do.
Okay.
There's a little greeting, and then I give the outline of the book just to remind people where we are, and then I will read through, and then at the end, there's a very brief application, just something to take away from that day's reading, and then a prayer.
Well, I just say all I wanted to add was, wow. I mean, I didn't somehow I either missed that or forgot about it, but I didn't realize that. That's a huge accomplishment. I know it's been done, you said, for over a year now, but I just want to say good job. That's awesome.
Well,
it completed when did you complete it?
In 2023, and it's the kind of thing, Wesley, that you're glad you didn't know how hard it was going to be before you started, or you wouldn't have gotten into it.
That's right.
And
now, would you say, looking back 2023, would you say 70% of them were daily recordings, or did you record 2 or 3, 4 at a time because you had to travel?
Oh, that's exactly right. Most of them I would do 5 at a time, 6 at a time.
Right.
If you get
you might as well if you're sitting down. Yeah, and
they got to go into kind of post production, make videos look right. So
wow,
amen.
4 or 5, and you doing that is humbling. You preach all your life, for most of 50 years, right?
Right.
it's not, you would never say, oh, I really know the Bible. You never really say that.
That's right.
Okay. But reading through it, Wesley, you realize, man, there's a lot of stuff here I don't know very much about. And, I felt that way in the book of Job, which is profound. I felt that way in Song of Solomon for a different reason. And then Ezekiel with all of its images and stuff. So you read through it and make your comments, and then you say, I still have a long way to go to really know the Bible.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, I have a question here. It's Chris. We've heard a lot for the last 3.5 months, ever since Charlie Kirk died, that a lot of young people have inquired about faith. They've taken an interest in church, reading the Bible, maybe reading the Bible again. Is this something that you might encourage a young person out there who's trying to reach his peers or her peers to get involved with?
Well, look. Doing it this way with this video, audio for every day, it's bite-sized. To read the whole Bible in a year it feels like you're climbing Mount Everest backwards, okay? It seems impossible. Okay, it probably is. So just pick a day and start. I think it would be great. And by the way, Chris, all the surveys bear out what you said, that we had an inflection point, a turning point, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Bible sales have gone through the roof. And I saw this survey the other day, you've probably seen it, that it says that church attendance by these, baby boomers, that's my group, the millennials and Gen X and Gen Z, whichever is the newest one, plus the millennials, that's the highest percentage of regular church attenders in America today, meaning God's up to something, that he used this awful thing that happened to Charlie to awaken a whole generation. So, yeah, there's a hunger for the Word of God among young people. They don't want to play church. Give me the straight truth. So, yeah, this series would be a great place, these videos, great place for young people to hop on the Bible bus.
Okay, what's the website again?
KeepBelieving.com.
KeepBelieving.com. By the way, related to the Bible and a story that's in the news, I saw it on the Christian Post, which is a news service today. There was a discovery at the Temple Mount area of they're doing excavations and have been doing it for years. Every time I go over to Israel, which is usually once a year, I see these archaeologists and scientists out doing digs in and around the Temple Mount area, and they discovered an area that with a bath. Okay.
Oh, like a mikveh?
Well, I thought that was like a food.
It's
no,
what,
you got it, Chris. That's right.
Yeah, a ritual bath. Well, like what they would baptize themselves with.
Oh, you knew this, Chris?
The temple. No, sir. I saw those myself when I was over there.
But you acted like you knew.
He just recently got back from over there where he saw this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So joke's on you,
I might have
okay?
actually seen what you're talking about here.
Okay, but what did you call it, Chris?
A mikveh.
I call it a bathtub.
That's essentially what it is.
But anyway, it goes back to it has ashes. They discovered ashes, which they say, these archaeologists, and I don't think they're Christians, and I don't even know what religion they are, if they're any, it doesn't say, where they would have a bias. That's the reason I mentioned that. They might have a bias, but they discovered ashes, Ray, which they say date back to the time of the destruction of the Second Temple.
Right.
That the Bible talks about.
Herod's temple was a magnificent structure, and it was destroyed when the Roman legions came in AD 70 and basically leveled the place. This vast. You've been there, Tim, many times. It's a large area. Destroyed it completely. Jesus said not one stone will be left upon another. Totally true. And so the ashes are the remains of the fire that destroyed the temple of God in AD 70. So, the mikvah was, this is tied in with the Old Testament, the whole concept of holiness, that you would bathe yourself in water as a sign of, it's what you would call ritual purity, but a reminder that your heart must be clean before you approach the Lord. So it was a big, big part of temple worship. So to find this is a tremendous, yet one more in a long string of a tremendous discoveries that have tended to confirm what the Bible actually says.
Yeah. I shared this link, the article that Tim mentioned, on our Facebook page, and you'll see pictures there. But I would recommend it, if any of our listeners have ever been to Israel, but it's been a very long time, I would recommend going back if you have the opportunity, because they're discovering things all the time. So things you might not have seen in 2005, you're going to see in 2025 or 26, whatever it is.
And at minimum, it proves the historical portion of Scripture, regardless of Jesus, or in this case, so the historical.
Yeah. So it was a ritual bath place where people took baths, but it was it had ashes. They found ashes that confirm what we're saying. Is it confirms what the Bible says? This is what the archaeologists are saying. There on the ground, it would confirm what the Bible says about the destruction of the temple in AD 70 by the Romans, the Jewish temple destructed, razed, and burned down to the ground, and so that's what they've discovered in Israel. I never will forget, they discover stuff, as you say, Chris, all the time in the Holy Land, and they discovered what they call the Jesus boat. I don't know, when was that, 20, 30 years ago, Ray?
Right.
What happened was the levels at the Sea of Galilee got so low that they found a boat. And the boat had been sitting in mud, basically. I'm doing layman's terms here. That made it able to be preserved. Not completely intact, as you might imagine, after 2,000 years, but they did date the boat back to the time of Jesus. And in fact, they've got it on display over there. When you get off your boat ride at the Sea of Galilee, you can see the what they call the Jesus boat, which, who knows, maybe in the boat
pretty neat
that the disciples were on, or Jesus was on. You never know. But the fact that it would be preserved after a couple thousand years in the mud.
They don't make things like they used to.
That was a good one, Wesley.
That's right.
I mean, they still got amphitheaters from like Herod and the Romans over there, still standing. We got a Coliseum that might be falling apart over here.
5 years.
Whatever people may believe about Jesus Christ, and of course we proclaim
the Trinity
here, we proclaim here that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and the Savior of the world, and we firmly believe that, and we preach that and teach that here on American Family Radio. But whatever you may believe about Jesus Christ, it's undeniable that if you look at the
evidence
that exists in the Holy Land of the history of the Jewish people, that is, it matches up with what's described in the Bible. So the Bible is not a bunch of myths, a bunch of fables. There are a bunch of stories in the Bible. Some are
miracles.
Some of which were parables. Some of which were actual reality. Most of the whole Old Testament is actual reality. It's historical, and it's the story of the Jewish people, and the Jewish people still exist today. So, and their story goes on. So, Ray, I don't know how you can look at the Holy Land and what's there even today and go, well, this matches up with what the Scripture says, what these crazy Christians believe.
While we're talking about this, can I recommend a brand new book to our listeners? And I mean brand new. I'm okay.
Okay.
In fact, it's so brand new, isn't even out yet. So it's coming out in early 2026. It's called Faith Affirming Findings. And the reason I know about this book, it's written by my friend Paul Weaver, who is a professor and an archaeological specialist at Dallas Theological Seminary. And he has put together a book, and there's videos that go with it, and there's a website that goes with it on 50 of the most important archaeological findings from the Old Testament and the New Testament that affirm that the Bible is reliable and it is true. So,
hey, can you get him? Can you ask him to be on our show?
Oh, absolutely. I know Paul would be glad to do it.
Okay, let's do that.
This book.
Maybe we'll get together
New Year's
about when. Yeah, but that'd be fabulous if we could have him on. Maybe a couple 3 times to talk about this. Faith. So the name of the book is Faith Affirming Findings.
Faith Affirming Findings. It's going to come out from Kregel, Kregel books, and the man's name is Paul Weaver. Very good friend, and he's a professor down at Dallas Seminary. And this is the best current book that you would give to an interested layman to say, okay, I've heard about archaeology. Here's the picture. Here's the story. Here's what it means.
I know. I got a book coming out.
You do have a book coming out.
No, I'm just kidding.
What, deer hunting in the Holy Land?
No, I couldn't. For those that know anything about me, I'm so far from grammar or writing.
Yeah, that's not your. It's not
a gift.
What editors are for.
That's right.
That's not. You need an editor.
No, the editors don't want me writing. But I'm glad we have those out there with the gift of writing, because books like this can really change people's lives.
Oh, absolutely. There are, I'm thinking about, there are books in the last 100 years that have, beyond the Bible, I'm talking about, that have reached millions of people. Mere Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Case for Christ.
Case for Christ. More Than a Carpenter by Josh McDowell.
Late Great Planet Earth by Hal Lindsey.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Hal Lindsey's book.
Best-selling book of the 1970s. Yeah.
Was it really? Okay.
Yeah.
Hal Lindsey. Whatever. Is he still alive?
Went to be with the Lord within the last year or two.
Hal Lindsey. Okay. All right. You're listening to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. And we highly encourage you to read the Holy Scriptures so that you may come to know, if you don't know, the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. Change your destiny. The Bible says that Jesus gives life abundant and obviously gives life eternal. We have eternal life. That is, when we die, we go to heaven to be with Christ and the saints. Amen. And eternity awaits. So that's what the Scripture teaches for those who repent and turn to Christ for their salvation. All right, Chris. Back to Earth.
Yes, I often do not have the opportunity to present or begin the news segment with positive news, but I'm going to do that today.
Give us some positive news, Chris.
And I say that based on something from a number of news outlets, including Christian Post. There is a new Puerto Rican law that recognizes unborn children as people from conception. Puerto Rico has enacted a new law that identifies unborn babies as people, giving them the same rights granted to every other human being. Republican Puerto Rican Governor Jennifer Gonzalez Colon announced in a statement that she signed Senate Bill 504 that amends the Civil Code of Puerto Rico to clarify that every human being is a natural person, including the conceived child at any stage of gestation within the mother's womb. What's interesting here is there is a comment, and I've shared this on our Facebook page. Carol Tobias at National Right to Life called the bill's passage a, quote, landmark achievement for the pro-life movement. So stick with AFN, because I'm going to try to get reaction to this later after the show.
Yeah, and when Chris says our Facebook page, he's talking about the Today's Issues.
Yes, sir.
Facebook page. Well, wonderful. Good for the people of Puerto Rico. And I don't know, is Puerto Rico, Ray, do you know the religious demographic there? Is it mostly Catholic? Or is
mostly Catholic, but there's a strong and growing evangelical presence there as well. And kudos to who was it that read again the name of the person who sponsored this bill.
Well, it was Senate Bill 504, and then Carol Tobias at National Right to Life praised it for being a landmark achievement.
It's amazing in the 21st century
in any
that
country.
In Puerto Rico any country, thank you, to take that kind of stand for the unborn.
Yeah, and we want to mention again, because I know some people listening may go, unborn baby have the same rights as a born human. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, we go back to the biblical definition of human life and the scientific definition of human life because at conception is when the human being starts to grow. And unless you kill it...
Distinct DNA.
Yes, distinct DNA. After conception, unless you stop the growth artificially, like an abortion, for example, that sperm and egg that come together to make conception and create the individual, unique human being will grow and become born and then live a natural life. So it's good for Puerto Rico for leading the way.
And I can tell you too, it's not really that much of a stretch beyond some existing laws here in the U.S. And I say that, for example, like in Alabama, if somebody were to kill a pregnant lady and the baby dies, that person is charged with and convicted of 2 murders. So, like, there are some rights kind of sort of like this, but we just don't go as far as Puerto Rico. Somebody will try to do what they do here, though.
I'd imagine, too, that was, you're going to hear my bias here in incrementalism, but especially in certain cases. But I would imagine that was an incremental change over time, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess to make the point that sometimes it takes longer than others, but chipping away at it and on the life issue, eventually you get to...
Well, also medical science has
helped
with the what do you call the equipment you can use?
Ultrasound.
Ultrasound. Right. Now, and we talked about this with Preborn, the ministry we support. If you show a woman the heartbeat of the unborn baby starts with what, 6 weeks or something like that?
6-8 weeks. Yep.
So it's just that only confirms that it's a live, living, growing. It's a human being.
Yep.
What other kind of being could it be?
Yep.
It's a human.
Well, hopefully we're not too far behind that. I know there's several states that have
strong pro-life laws.
They do. Yeah.
But Puerto Rico,
all the way.
Puerto Rico. We congratulate the folks there. You're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Let's go ahead and take our break right here. And we will be back with more of the show after this short timeout.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildman.
And after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John his brother, and led them up a high mountain apart. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his garments became white as light. 2 mountains in the Holy Land are revered as the Mountain of Transfiguration. Like many other sites of the Holy Land, one has to decide which site he prefers as being authentic, if indeed either is. Since the 4th century, Mount Tabor has been accepted by many as the Mount of Transfiguration. Mount Tabor is about 5 miles east of Nazareth and 12 miles west of the southern tip of the Sea of Galilee. Although the mountain is only 1,843 feet high, one can see a far distance from its summit. Atop Mount Tabor, you can see Mount Carmel, about 25 miles to the west on the edge of the Mediterranean Sea. You can also see Mount Hermon, nearly 50 miles to the north. To the south and west of Mount Tabor is the plain of Ashkelon, also known as the plain of Jezreel. The other spot, which some consider to be the Mountain of Transfiguration, is Mount Hermon. It's about 30 miles north of the Sea of Galilee. The highest point of this snow-capped mountain is 9,101 feet above sea level. Just south of Mount Hermon is Caesarea Philippi. The fact that Jesus was mentioned as being in this area just prior to the Transfiguration experience is accepted by some as evidence of Mount Hermon being the Mount of Transfiguration. The truth is that we don't know where the Mount of Transfiguration is, and it really doesn't matter, because it was not the location which was important, but the event. Jesus took Peter, James, and John and led them up a high mountain. Then something mysterious and exciting happened. As the disciples looked on, the face of Jesus became exceedingly bright. His clothes became as white as light. Then the three disciples recognized two men with Jesus, Moses and Elijah. Moses represented the old law through which God had sought to save man from his sinfulness. Elijah represented the prophets whom God had sent to lead the people into his kingdom. And Jesus, of course, was God's final and most perfect method of winning people to his way. Suddenly, a shining cloud came over the group, and a voice was heard speaking from that cloud. "This is my own dear Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." It was such a terrifying experience for the disciples that they fell on their faces. During the experience, Peter, in his excitement, wanted to build 3 buildings of worship on that mountain. One was to be for Jesus, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. Peter had tasted a mountaintop spiritual experience. He did not want to go back down into the valley. But Jesus would not let Peter build those houses of worship. No. Jesus took his disciples and went back down into the valley where the suffering of life was. There was a young boy suffering from epilepsy, waiting for him upon his return. You know, we all need occasionally our mountain of transfiguration experiences. But to stay on the mountain, apart from the sin and suffering of humanity, is contrary to the will of God.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildman, a production of the American Family Association.
Be silent before me so that I may speak. Then let come upon me what may. Why should I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hands? Though he slay me, I will hope in him. Job 13 through 15.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Wesley, Chris, and Ray. And as always, we thank you for listening. You want to send us an email, it's comments@afr.net. comments@afr.net.
We also need to remind people about our app. We have our AFR app.
Talk about that.
Yeah, we got an AFR app. So go to the App Store on any of your smartphone device. Not use the dumb devices, just the smart devices, right? You got smart.
Yeah, you're using dumb devices. We can't help you.
We can't help you. There's nothing we can do about that.
You're gonna have to get you a smart device.
But you get you a smart device and you go to AFR, or type in American Family Radio, and there you can download the app. Between that and our streaming platform, stream.afa.net, and our website, afr.net, are the 3 places that we encourage you to go to, because you don't have to be at a radio in order to listen. And there's more information there. There's more places. There's more radio programs and podcasts that we host there that we don't have on our radio network, because there's only so much room on the dial.
Yeah.
So that's right.
I have my wife's cousin, Andrew. Andrew, if you're listening, thank you, because he often listens to us on the app and tells us.
Are you doing a shout out to Andrew?
I sure am.
Andrew. We want last name. We want phone numbers.
You like Arsenio Hall.
He's right-handed.
That's right.
White, Southern.
Doing a shout out.
Yeah.
Huh?
Thank you, Andrew.
The shout out, has that lasted, or is that?
I think it transcends time. It's eternal.
It does. It transcends
Much like
time.
mikvah.
That's right.
I hear people say shout out.
How many of our listeners remember Arsenio Hall? You threw that name out. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah.
Well, he had a show.
Right.
Back in the 90s, I think it was.
Bill Clinton showed up and played the saxophone.
I remember that.
The Arsenio Hall show. I think that's what it's called. And that was his expression, shout out. And I thought,
used to do this.
That dates back to the 90s at least. The shout out.
Back to the last century.
I tell you, a word that's made it through the decades here is cool.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
COOL. That's lasted. That's a 70s word. Maybe that's probably a 60s word, isn't it, Ray?
It is, and it's still the kids use it in their texting. Yeah,
cool's made it now.
A 10-year-old uses that.
A word that died. It was cool. This word I'm about to mention was the brother of cool.
Okay,
groovy
or rad. That's
what?
Rad.
That's right.
Rad.
Well, let me bury groovy first.
Okay,
you can
groovy. You do not hear that.
No,
right?
Groovy died.
That's right.
Groovy was Cool's twin brother from the 60s,
That's
right.
and Groovy didn't make it.
Yeah.
He RIP'd in the mid 70s, I think.
Right.
If you said to somebody that's groovy, they
would look at you. They would tilt their head unless they were.
That's right. They would tilt their head.
Yeah, unless they were 60 or older.
Yeah.
Which I didn't use groovy, but I know.
You know people who did.
I know people who did. Now, what is this word you mentioned, Wesley?
Rad was the 90s, and so that died too. It was it's a decade. You get
I just absolutely missed that totally. Rad,
like radical.
Yeah.
Oh, radical.
It's short.
Short for?
Yeah, short.
It's rad, man.
Yeah.
It's rad, dude.
For
you use that, Ray?
Right here. Look.
I did. I haven't in a long time.
Rad.
Oh,
Rad. And what Wesley said, rad and dude, they just go together.
Yeah.
That's rad, dude.
Well, one I've started using out in public and around my grandkids is 6'7".
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
And you got to do your body. You got to do your body and your hands in a certain way. But it's 6'7".
It can catch on. I know it annoys some people, but it's catchy because I'll find myself mentioning about the time, and I'm like, it's close to about 6.
What does
and
that
like,
mean?
Oh, it's 6.
What is it? You want to know the origin?
No one knows, and there are urban myths about it dating to this or
being related
to that.
a song.
Did you go back to the Bible times?
I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
Yeah. It's not in First Chronicles.
It's chapter 6, verse 7.
Yeah.
Well, right.
Something
That'd
like
be
that.
6, 7, right?
Yeah, 6, 7. Now, my dad passed away, 3 years ago? Anyway, I'm trying to think. He was born in 1938. So he had, and a lot of old timers, as they say, would remember he used to have an expression that old timers use called 6, 7, half dozen other ways. Do you remember this expression, Ray?
What? I don't think I've ever heard that.
He wouldn't say 6, 7. He would,
okay.
He would say
6 and a half. No, what he would say was
6 and a half, half a dozen.
My dad would be 80. What would he be? 87, 87 if he were here today. He would say 6, 7. No, he would say 6 and a half. Do you remember this?
Yeah, he would say 6 or half a dozen.
Other
either
ways.
Way. Other way.
What is that?
It's right here.
Okay, how do you say it?
6 of one or 6 of one, half a dozen of the other one.
I've heard that.
Okay, you've heard that, right?
Right, many times. Yeah.
Okay, that's a baby boomer.
Yep.
And or older, because my dad, he was beyond baby
6
boomer.
of one, half a dozen of the other.
Okay. Yeah, he would say that a lot, and that means there are multiple ways you can do something.
Semantics.
That's right. Yeah. Skin a cat. Multiple.
There are multiple ways. More than one way to skin a cat.
I've never seen a cat skin
Cat
before.
owners don't like to hear that expression, though.
PETA.
That's right.
We know.
You get a letter from PETA.
Yeah.
That's right.
Where did that come from? We better stop.
What?
Well, skin a cat.
Yeah.
I didn't say it. You said it.
I know, but why? Now, when I
You
say
mean,
it
where
out
did
loud
that-
on radio, it makes
Where
you
did that
question.
expression come
Yes.
from?
When you say it out loud on
People say
radio.
there's more than one way to skin a cat. Maybe they're talking about a mountain lion. I don't think they're talking about your little kitty cat that roams around your house.
Now, y'all were talking about 6, 7. I think somebody might have mentioned this on another show recently, but dictionary.com added 6, 7 as its 2025 word of the year.
Really?
Because so many people are saying it. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm pretty cool then if I'm using it. 6,
Using
7.
the word of the year, and nobody really knows
Yes.
what it means.
I went to the Tupelo Christmas Parade, like many people here, and
On our staff.
a number of floats had children, and just about every kid on every float that went by me, there was a kid yelling 6, 7, including kids dressed as angels.
Yeah. I yelled back 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Huh?
They kind of
Should have seen the looks I got.
Nobody really knows, right?
Nobody knows the origin of that, do they, Wesley?
Nope.
Okay. All right, you're listening to Random Trivial Information right here on today's Issues on American Family Radio. All right, we go back to the news desk, and
Yes.
Chris Woodward is standing by. Chris?
Yes. Well, expect to hear more coming into the new year or going into the new year about Minnesota fraud. And I say that because various agencies in the Trump administration have announced they are investigating fraud in Minnesota. For example, the Department of Homeland Security says it's now looking into this. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, has been looking into this. And talking about that this morning on Fox and Friends is Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons, who had this to say, clip 9.
ICE has been on the ground in Minnesota for a while now looking at these fraud claims. And one thing now the Homeland Security Investigation Special Agents are looking into is just that you said, that money trail of where this money is going to foreign aid. Obviously looking at any type of links to any criminal activity, obviously terrorism activity, and one thing you will see is that ICE is actually out there going with criminal warrants to conduct these investigations. So all too often you hear that ICE is just out there terrorizing the community or conducting administrative work. We've been on the ground in Minnesota conducting criminal investigations, and Homeland Security investigations has gone door to door to a lot of these suspected fraud sites all over St. Paul and Minnesota, and we're learning a lot.
Now, talking about the suspects here, this is just the beginning of the tip of the iceberg, if you will. 98 individuals have been charged thus far in Minnesota fraud cases. 85 of the 98 people charged are of Somali descent that were operating things like phony daycares and other businesses.
Yeah, for those who don't know, and we don't want to spend a lot of time on the story, though this is
It's developing. There's new information.
It's a big story, but what happened was the United States federal government, funded by us, taxpayers,
don't remind us.
Some of our money went to, as it goes to all the states, it went to Minnesota. What they've discovered is the money in Minnesota, which is supposed to be administered, again, it's federal money sent to the state, and the state's supposed to oversee the administration of said funds to support various and sundry projects. And the Somali community evidently had these fraudulent daycare centers established. So no children went to the daycare centers, but they got money. And that's what this is all about. And this is a big deal that they're uncovering.
They also said that they also applied for disabilities that didn't exist either.
Yeah, well, that's an American way of life right there.
Well, oh yeah.
There's a number of people that did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I hear what you're saying. That's true. Well, they participated in it as well.
A lot.
Yeah, I know.
Disability fraud's a big deal too. But yeah.
But they did it for kids in the daycare. They would say that the kids that they had in daycare had a disability that they didn't have, and they were getting money for it.
But one of the daycare centers that supposedly was in operation that wasn't was a place called the LEARING Center. This was the sign it's famous now.
And from a Nick Shirley video investigation, yes.
And so he showed the sign where they left the N off the daycare center. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be learning, right?
Yes.
And
man.
Yeah. Pretty bad. Leering.
Yeah.
The Leering School, right? The Leering Daycare Center. Is that what it is, Chris?
That's what it is, yes.
Yeah.
I'll post that in a second, too.
But their attendance has been way, way, way down.
As it should.
Oh, man.
It's a big... What happens here is, and this isn't the only agency this happens in, the federal government is, well known. That's one of the things Elon Musk focused on, when President Trump first came into office, before he and Elon Musk had the falling out. I think they've had a falling in again, but they'll have another falling out here. But anyway, is the waste and fraud that goes on with our federal tax dollars. There's another story today about, there is something, at least somebody's trying to do something about it.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
In the Trump administration, there's a if you go to the Fox News website, there's a story about the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development recently revealed that billions, with a B, in taxpayer funds that went to questionable rental assistance recipients. So federal government through HUD was paying for people's rent, I guess like a welfare program. Well, they discovered that 30,000 of these people are dead. Okay, they don't need rent. All right, they've already
already passed away.
Going on to the great rental in the sky, so to speak. 30,000. They discovered at least 30,000 deceased tenants. I'm not kidding. This sounds like a joke.
Yeah.
Where they discovered in an audit they did of this, and no surprise, most of them were in New York, California, and Washington D.C.
Really?
Yep. Now, all 50 states, they discovered dead people getting money. But in this case, did you see this, Ray?
I did.
Yeah.
And is it any surprise when you have that much money from the government, people are going to lie, they're going to cheat, they're going to find a way to, just because Grandpa's gone to heaven.
Right.
Well,
they're going to keep.
I should still be getting his money, right?
I think that's the way it works. It's fraud, and at least they discovered it and tried to do something to clean it up. Kind of reminds me of this story I saw a couple of years ago where, so people get these disability, what do you call them? They hang in the car.
Oh, the park
handicap tag. Like the little
handicap.
Thing from the
handicap. Handicap or disability. And it allows them to park in the blue spaces that we all see.
We all want to park there.
We all want to park there.
But we know better.
We know better because our conscience gets to us a little bit. So we don't. And it's against the law.
Right, both.
So these blue parking spaces are reserved for people with disabilities. But what had happened was, what's happening is when that person dies, their grandson.
That's right.
Taking it, and it's being passed on. Did you see this?
Yeah. I've been seeing it for years.
It's the American way, by
comes
golly.
out.
Pass it down.
Yeah.
Anyway, next story, Chris.
All right. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had a meeting yesterday at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's resort in Florida, and they discussed a number of topics, including the U.S. brokered peace deal between Israel and Hamas. They got into Iran because Netanyahu is saying that Iran looks like it's interested in resuming its nuclear energy efforts there. Remember, we bombed a site in Iran to try to take out its nuclear capabilities. Trump praised Israel for living up to its end of the plans with Israel and Iran, but he also had this to say about Iran. Clip 2.
Israel's lived up to the plan 100%. Don't forget, we made the plan possible by taking out Iran. And speaking of Iran, I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup.
Now, that, of course, comes as the U.S. continues to go after Venezuelan drug boats. And most people may not be aware of this, given a lot of people are off, maybe not paying as much attention to news. But we have actually been involved now in a land operation in Venezuela, taking out a dock that Trump says was being used for the drug trade.
What kind of doctor was he?
A dock, a D-O-C-K. Doc.
Oh, my bad. My bad. That's a big difference.
Yeah, President Trump, the POTUS, said that Venezuela has been using this dock for the drug trade. Clip 4.
There was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs. So we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
Those things were big topics this morning on Fox, and as we were discussing
what
various
does he mean
things,
it's no longer around?
It doesn't exist anymore because we blew it to Kingdom Come.
There's
my word.
That's
his.
a good biblical reference too, there, Chris. Blew it to Kingdom Come. What do you?
I want to find a way to use the skin a cat here, and there's multiple ways to skin a cat, and there's one way.
You're starting. You're going to trigger your cat owners if you keep on with this. I don't know what you call that, a euphemism?
Sure.
So You know, in all seriousness, we got a situation in Venezuela, which is, you know, on the north end of South America, and is a country rich in oil and natural resources. But they have a dictator that is a bad dude, and Trump doesn't like him at all and thinks it's not good to have him. He's trying to force him out, Ray. Maduro, is that his name?
Yeah.
And Trump's trying to force him out by basically using military force. Supposed to have do we have like an embargo going on, or what do you call it, blockade, naval blockade?
Yeah, it's a kind of a blockade, to stop the oil traffic in and out, right?
And we're blowing up narco terrorist boats.
Blowing up the boats, right?
Now we blew up a dock.
And did I read somewhere it was a drone? We sent in a drone, and okay. And
So what are we going to do? What do you follow this? What do you think's going on here, Ray? What's going to be the end game here?
I was asked the question recently. A few hours ago, what I thought about this, and I feel about this about the same way I do about that bombing of the villages over in Nigeria. Right, when we sent the cruise missiles in,
right, to take out some ISIS.
That's right.
Yeah,
and you don't really know from where we sit, Tim.
Right,
we don't know.
Right,
I've been to Nigeria. That's a remote area up there, up in the northwest, and so look,
we just believe. You believe whatever the president tells you happened, right?
That's exactly right. Because we don't have any way to judge it. How are we supposed to judge a dock in Venezuela?
Right.
So I will say this. Would I like more congressional involvement? Yeah, I would. Because I think it's easy for any president, to get out on a limb, so to speak, by himself. But if the question is, should we take positive action to stop the illegal drug trade that's poisoning and killing Americans, I'm in favor.
Yeah.
If we know that's where the drugs are, blow those ships out of the water.
I vaguely remember the Reagan administration. But, the Just Say No campaign was obviously an epic failure and didn't amount to much. Whereas ending this the way Trump is ending it has proven to be more effective, but it doesn't seem to deter people from getting drugs back on a boat and trying. So I don't know how many more times they're going to keep doing this. They might run out of boat drivers. I don't know.
There's too much money involved, Chris. On the other side, it's just the drug business is a profitable, lucrative, and completely illegal and immoral and evil operation. But when you have that much money at stake, you're gonna. You know what, Chris? I think you probably always find somebody who will say, "I'll drive your boat because they won't catch me."
Yeah,
sure.
Anyway, we'll see what happens here. But President Trump is moving for regime change in Venezuela. I knew a lady who had a restaurant near where we are here. She was from Venezuela. She was probably 45 years old at the time I knew her, this 3 or 4 years ago. But she would tell about what the terrible things that Maduro, the dictator, was doing to the people of Venezuela. And, she wouldn't even go back because of the fear of what would happen. But she would say that she and some of her Venezuelan friends who lived in the U.S. would send aid back to physical aid back in trucks and so forth to Venezuela to try to help the people who were being oppressed by the dictator. And his army had intercepted a couple of those and used them for themselves. Anyway, dictatorships are terrible, and all over the world. When we see dictators rise up all over the world, it's always many of them use the military and the police to be their personal enforcers. So
here's this on this topic. Over the past decade, this is from an article I'll cite here in just a second, but over the past decade, an estimated estimated 8 million Venezuelans have left the country in what is considered the largest migration crisis in recent Latin American history.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's a terrible situation. Venezuela. I've never been there, but I've seen they've got these waterfalls in Venezuela that are world famous. What do you know what I'm talking about? You look up world famous waterfalls in Venezuela.
Sure.
Anyway, I see pictures of those, and I want to go there and see that sometime.
Wow.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What does it say?
I mean, there are several. There's Angel Falls and some other things in Spanish I'm not going to try to pronounce. But there's...
Let me help you. Let me help you.
Do what you say, Ray?
I'm kidding.
That's one of the most famous ones.
Can't read
right?
English. I can read Spanish.
Angel Falls, yeah. It's kind of like Niagara Falls to us.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's even more...
Wow.
So it's even more impressive if you look at it. But anyway, and the people there, the Venezuelan people are friendly. All of them I've ever met. And
it is nice.
It's just a shame what's happened to their country. Anyway, Trump is trying to force out Maduro. We'll see how successful. He's trying to force him out without using military might to go in and be on the ground. Nobody wants U.S. boots on the ground in Venezuela. And I don't think President Trump would do that. But he's smoking the guy out, so to speak, using a blockade and boats, knocking out boats and docks now and so forth and so on. All right, you're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. To a certain extent, it's whatever side of the political aisle you're on, whether you believe something's good or bad or right or wrong, or if you even believe
not military just,
or even if you believe the messenger. So you would ask a lot of Democrats; they don't necessarily trust anything President Trump says. So if he says, I took out a drug boat, they're going to say, "Oh, really? Prove it." How did you? So it's sad that our country's in such a divide of trust, but that's just the way it is. Next story, Chris.
All right. In a first,
you got about a minute.
Yes. In a first, President Donald Trump has received an award.
What, really?
Yeah, from the nation of Israel. It's called the Israel Prize, and it's apparently the country's top civilian honor. Do we have time for 27 seconds? Okay. Clip 3.
President Trump has broken so many conventions to the surprise of people, and then they figure out, oh, well, maybe, he was right after all. So we decided to break a convention too, or create a new one, and that is to award the Israel Prize, which in almost our 80 years, we've never awarded it to a non-Israeli. It's going to be awarded to President Donald J. Trump for his tremendous contributions to Israel and the Jewish people.
Wow, that's great. Mm-hmm. Good for him, good for Benjamin Netanyahu, and good for President Trump on that one. All right, we'll be back in a minute with more of today's issues on American Family Radio. Steve Paisley Jordahl is on deck. We'll talk to him.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Their investment is only for Donald Trump. It's not for the Republican Party. And I think this is another thing that we as conservatives have failed to do during the entire arc of the Trump era is actually take the Trump voters and convert them into genuine conservatives.
Start your weekdays with insight from Jenna Ellis in the morning, 7 o'clock Central Time on American Family Radio.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
For American Family News, I'm Chris Woodward. To say it's cold across much of the U.S. would be a giant understatement. Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz.
You're looking at temperatures, feels like temperatures, -1 in Chicago. What about down in not so hot Atlanta? 15 degrees. It feels like 15 degrees this morning in Atlanta. So a real Arctic blast is pushing across the eastern half of the country. These morning temperatures, a good 30 degrees lower than they were yesterday morning, at least across the southeast. This is a true Arctic blast again, sweeping across the country. Now with that, particularly down the stream of some of the lakes. You're looking at lake effect snow warnings as you're going to see feet of snow coming down in some of these areas. All of those pink colors, those purple colors getting downwind of the lakes. Real heavy snowfall ultimately on the way. Now, a little farther off towards the south, you're getting New York City, Boston, some of those areas. No snow really, but what you're talking about is those very cold temperatures and wind advisories. We're looking at really strong winds here through the rest of the day. Otherwise, this is your forecast across the country. Not a lot of snowmakers, but boy, it is cold out there.
Authorities in Texas continue to investigate the disappearance of a teenage girl that vanished on Christmas Eve. Fox's Todd Piro says investigators now believe she may be in Mexico.
The search for Camila Mendoza almost now extending to Mexico. Authorities here in the U.S. now fear that the 19-year-old may have been taken over the border, prompting the Nuevo Leon Attorney General's office to issue a missing persons report, saying, quote, Camila Mendoza is Mexican with light brown wavy hair, fair skin, light brown eyes, straight nose, and large mouth. The day of her disappearance, she was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, black leggings, and white tennis shoes. Police also releasing this new dashcam video showing what appears to be the missing teen walking in the dark along a road in the San Antonio suburbs. It's a route she routinely walked in the mornings. Authorities now urging the public to keep an eye out for more video to help in this search. Almost was last seen in the early hours before 7 a.m. on Christmas Eve, appearing to search for something inside her car. Authorities believe she then left the scene on foot with only her car keys and possibly her driver's license.
ICE is investigating fraud in Minnesota. Of the 98 people charged thus far, 85 of them are Somali immigrants that authorities say were operating phony businesses. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons.
ICE has been on the ground in Minnesota for a while now looking at these fraud claims. And one thing now the Homeland Security Investigation Special Agents are looking into is just that you said, that money trail of where this money is going to foreign aid. Obviously looking at any type of links to any criminal activity, obviously terrorism activity. And one thing you will see is that ICE is actually out there going with criminal warrants to conduct these investigations. So all too often you hear that ICE is just out there terrorizing the community or conducting administrative work. We've been on the ground in Minnesota conducting criminal investigations, and Homeland Security investigations has gone door to door to a lot of these suspected fraud sites all over St. Paul and Minnesota, and we're learning a lot.
Is there a rift between President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu? Some news outlets seem to think so. But talking about this on Fox and Friends, Laura Trump said it's fake news.
Very clearly, you can see that there is no daylight. They're literally embracing one another. The people of Israel are so appreciative that President Trump is back in the White House. On my plane last night, I was getting off, and there were a couple people on there who said, listen, we're Jewish. We are so appreciative of what President Trump has done. Please say thank you.
And it's hard to believe, but the midterm elections are not that far away. Pollsters seem to think Democrats will gain seats in the midterms, but Fox News contributor Joe Concha is not so sure.
It's never been a worse time to be a Democrat. When you're looking ahead and you're seeing the Dow closed at 48,000, above 38,000, it's up nearly 14% since Trump's victory in 2024. S&P is way up as well. We heard about a recession. That's never happening. Trump tax cuts are cutting. We have better trade deals around the world. Gas prices at a 5-year low. Democrats need a plan.
That's all our time for now. Find more news on AFN.net. Like us on Facebook, follow us on X, and subscribe to our free daily email news briefs on AFN.net. Thanks for listening.
Hello, everyone. Tim Wildman here. We've got some great tours lined up for 2026. Washington, D.C., George Washington's Mount Vernon, Colonial Williamsburg, historic Jamestown, Boston, Massachusetts, and that greater area. So much to see and do in 2026. If you want information on any of these trips, go to wildmangroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we'll see you on one of our tours in 2026.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildman, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's Issues on American Family Radio. I'm Tim Wildman with Wesley Wildman, and in studio now is Steve Paisley Jordahl.
Good morning, everybody.
Rocking the Paisley.
Kind of, yeah. It's my Madagascar shirt.
Is that paisley or no?
There may be a little bit of paisley.
There's a little
this
bit
reminds
there.
Me, this reminds me of the salad. You know that sometimes the lettuce you get with salads
Yeah.
that have the
It's
greens,
more for looks than it is
it
eating.
doesn't taste very good, but it looks really kind of cool. Yeah, that's what this shirt reminds me of.
So it's a almost paisley.
Almost
It's
too close to paisley.
Ray Pritchard, go ahead, Ray.
Hey, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Your shirt is groovy, baby.
Hey.
Groovy.
Okay, do you guys remember this one? I remember in the 70s using the word boss.
No,
that is so boss. Remember
that's
that?
right.
Boss,
Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that wasn't around a couple of years though. Was
Well, it was in Madagascar where I grew up. Everything was boss.
Ed would tell you in the New England area the word, and this word has survived. Wicked.
Yeah,
that's right.
Wicked was
good.
That's wicked good.
Yeah, wicked meant awesome. It didn't mean wicked like evil. It meant wicked like good. But if you go up there, they have a
Wicked great lobster.
Yeah, they do. They have a restaurant called Wicked Lobster.
I just made that up. All right.
Yeah, they do. All right, so talking about words that have made it and have not made it. When we did say that the word that we could think of that has survived the 60s to today is cool.
Cool. Very much so.
Cool.
That's a boss word.
Has survived. Now,
Awesome.
bad. Now,
Awesome.
Now,
Awesome,
Michael
dude.
Jackson turned the word bad into good.
That's right.
The Bible talks about that, doesn't it, Ray? About
It does. It's it. Book of Isaiah.
I don't think Michael Jackson had the Bible in mind.
I don't think so either, but I'm just saying.
He's just bad. Bad meant good.
Meant good.
Not bad.
That was good.
Not bad. Did you see the what's the
I really didn't need that, Steve. But
who was it? The guy that plays the accordion.
Will Yankovic?
Yeah, he did a parody on
Yeah,
Bad.
he did. It was called "I'm Fat." I
Fat,
think.
right?
Anyway, all right. We digress, which is rare.
Yeah, never happens.
Hardly ever happens.
All right. Before we get into some of the news stories, there is a story, Steve, out of your home state of California.
That's right, Southern California.
so
It's worth noting.
It's worth noting.
It is.
Kind of
It is.
It's breaking news. So over to you, Steve.
Breaking in the town of Altadena, which is in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains north of Los Angeles. We have a bear sighting. Not only a bear sighting, but this bear has taken up residence in a home. This is
Keith Johnson's home.
That's right, Kenneth Johnson.
Kenneth Johnson.
63-year-old Kenneth Johnson has found a bear in his crawl space, and
Little basement area.
He's asked the state of California to come and get it. The Fish and Wildlife came and they got a bear, the wrong one.
Yep.
And took it away, and he's still waiting for them to come back and get the right one. And he's
So there's more than one bear.
How could that happen?
We're a
How
month
do you
into
get- how do you
this.
Come
They
and
set
get the
up a
wrong bear.
Listen, we're a month into this.
They set up a trap, and the wrong bear responded to the trap. They thought they had the right one and left.
Bummer. I
The other
hate
one
when
is
that
still
happens.
This fella, seriously, it's funny if it doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
Then everybody laughs. Oh, you're the guy with the bear at his house. This bear is squatting and still is.
Yeah.
I think underneath the house of this fella. What's his name?
Kenneth Johnson.
So the bear goes and comes. And the California Fish and Wildlife came to try to. And I don't know how you trap the wrong bear.
He said it's terrorizing his home.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
He's
as
serious,
you could
though, isn't he?
imagine. Yeah.
Huh? What, the
550-pound brown bear.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, that's
So,
Okay, so it's living in underneath.
It lives underneath the house in the crawl space, which is amazing to me. I don't know how
guys,
tall-
y'all, please, if y'all could help me here and use the word squatting. He's not-
Okay, well,
he's squatting.
It's a squatting bear.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know, like
All
an
right.
Indian chief.
No, a little different.
No,
like squatting as in taking up
Well,
residence.
there's probably
in
an
something
Indian
that you're-
chief named Squatting Bear
That's
somewhere.
right. That's true.
But
But a lot different.
You're on your own here now.
okay, did I offend somebody? I didn't mean to.
You offended the bears.
Okay, I mean, we did have Sitting Bull. Am I
Really?
right?
That's exactly
Okay,
right.
they named themselves. I just said there's a Squatting Bear somewhere. It's an
Yeah,
Indian
I'm sure
chief.
that's right.
But
Okay,
this
I'm with
bear,
you.
lives under the house in the crawl space area,
Which looks a lot like a bear cave.
and then it goes out and feeds,
It comes back to squat more.
and then it comes back. It basically it's using the house as its
Without permission.
Without permission, and hasn't paid rent in months.
No. As it's using this fellow's house basement as its cave. Now Count.
Now, has the bear gotten loose inside the house?
That's you can read this story. That's a massive bear.
They came December 9th. Failed, got their own bear that was like half the size.
Talking about the California Fish and Wildlife.
That's right.
He calls them, says, "Come get this bear." They come out there, they get the wrong bear.
But they come out there at their own pace. Then when they come out there at their own pace, at that point, then they've got it wrong. They got their own bear, and so this has been going on before. This has been going on for about a month now.
Okay. You know what
this
fella?
Is a 550-pound bear.
I know.
Yeah.
Said you don't go out there and say shoo.
No,
okay?
No, you don't.
You don't try to shoot. You don't get your broom out and stoke underneath the house saying, "Come on, bear, get out of here." This is a huge bear. Go ahead, Ray.
Oh, okay. So, still didn't get an answer to my other question. Has the bear ever gotten inside the house? So far as
does it say that?
It does not say
I don't
that
think
it has.
so. I don't think so. I think
you'd have a problem on another whole level. But okay,
it's not your average bear.
So is this guy going to sleep at Kenneth? Is Kenneth going to sleep at night knowing there's a bear?
Probably not sleeping.
That's why he's infuriated.
I think
bother
so.
me.
He's upset.
I think so.
Really bother me.
He's upset.
I think so. I don't even know. It may be pointless to do your deadbolt with a 550-pound bear. I remember.
We need audio from this.
We're gonna move on to some depressing news in just a minute, but
Yes.
this is depressing for what's his name?
Kenneth.
Kenneth can't get the calls of Kenneth caught, but he can't shoot the bear, right?
He cannot shoot the bear.
If he goes shoots
Could in many states.
Oh yeah, almost every state except for California, New York, and
he couldn't shoot.
yeah,
the bear
that's the
squatting in his
consequences of
face.
living in a very liberal
Right.
state is you can't shoot the bear.
And you're not supposed to evict squatters. They have legal rights, you know.
That's true. That's fair.
Well,
I better just stop right there. I just remember
got problems.
talking about deadbolting the door.
This is all.
One time I was at home and we had a snake on our patio, and I won't tell the whole story, but
it didn't end well for the snake. I have a feeling.
That snake had just eaten 2 frogs and he didn't want to leave my patio. Normally snakes are they'll flee, right?
Yeah.
But but he wouldn't leave because he couldn't. He was like digesting these frogs that he had consumed on my patio. But he lurched back. Can a snake lurch? I don't know. Anyway, he like was snapping back. He was about 6 feet away, and he was trying to lunge back at me like quit doing what you, because I had a blower going on him. Like, you know what I'm talking about? I had a blower. I was trying to use a blower to get him to shoo, right?
Yeah.
But then he started coming at me, and I shut the door, and then I locked it.
There you go.
Just for good measure.
That's right. Don't let him. Don't let him.
And
try that
Allison,
handle.
my wife, was with me there, and I said, "You do realize I just locked the door to keep the snake out, right?"
That'll show him.
So we're not going to tell anybody you did that, but I guess I did.
I know we got to move on, but it gets better or worse.
You mean back to the story in California?
Yeah. So here's
It's slow news day, so we got to have something to talk about.
Okay.
Here. Go ahead.
And I think you will. I think you'll take Kenneth's side even more after you hear this.
Kenneth is the man in California with the bear under his house.
The one of the ways he discovered this shortly after Thanksgiving is he lost hot water because the bear destroyed
his hot water heater.
His hot water heater.
Okay, we've gone too far now.
Could you imagine? I know you and your hot water and shower.
I gotta have a shower a day, or life ain't worth living.
That's too.
In all seriousness, just to pile on the CDFW, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, they actually backed out since December 9th, and they've now again. Maybe they
We're
have
just reading the story.
Yeah,
we don't know.
They may have limited
Right.
resources.
I know.
They may
I know.
have their reasons for it, but they've backed out and they said they're not coming back.
on vacation,
Yeah,
probably.
we're done for now. So
Yeah. So he's on his own with this 550-pound bear.
He hadn't tried the blower yet.
That's good, Steve. I know you were mocking me, but I still thought it was good there. I was using a blower on a snake, which normally might work, but on this snake, like I said, he didn't want to leave.
Well, I mean, it's a great question. Who do you call?
December and
Get rid of
January.
Who do you call?
Bear Grylls.
Ghostbusters.
Ghost.
All right.
Bear Buster.
All right.
Dan Aykroyd.
No hot water.
All right, Steve, what's your first story
All
over
right,
there?
let's talk about Franklin Graham continuing to speak the truth. He is accusing Democrats in Washington of selling their souls for power, and he's speaking out against lawmakers who are signing on to an amicus of the Supreme Court in favor of men in women's sports.
So Franklin Graham, the well-known evangelist,
yes,
who I've met, and in fact, we were at a White House event back in the first Trump administration. I was at a White House event, and he was there, and talked to him for a little while. But so he's criticizing the Democrat Party because they've signed on an amicus brief. This is a, in other words,
friend of the court.
The friend of the court. They're saying we as a party are in support of transgendered.
Or 130 members of Congress signed it. So
yeah, of Democrats.
Of Democrats.
And they're saying we support at the Supreme Court level the right of males to play female sports, right?
Yes. And it says Franklin Graham, quote, if you believe men should be allowed in women's bathrooms and to undress in your daughter's or granddaughter's locker room, then you should vote Democrat. This is sick. It turns your stomach. Beware.
Well, that is all true. It goes beyond just competitive sports, which is insane.
Right.
The idea of males being able to play female sports. But also, this is a violation of privacy because they let these same, quote, athletes into the women's changing areas and showers. They have full access. So that's how insane this idea is that not all, but a majority of Democrats, at least nationally, support, and that is basically if you call yourself a girl, you can go wherever girls go. That's all you got to do. Is they even use this for prison now.
Yeah.
A man will be convicted of a crime that requires him to go to prison or jail, and this is true in some states, blue states.
Oh,
and then he says, "What? I feel like I'm a woman." Okay, we'll put him in the women's
prison. Just
prison.
Even if they're maybe convicted of a sexual crime.
Yeah.
Let's just put
it's insane, but this is how it's. Well, someone once said, liberalism is a mental disorder.
Boy, howdy.
And in many respects, absolutely. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues. Well, good for Franklin Graham there.
Yes,
Next story,
your
Steve.
I'd like to introduce you to former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, who has a chilling warning on AI's future. He was talking in about a 3-minute video, audio, which we're not going to play the entirety of. But he said that AI is making some strides, including how you ask the prompts, how it's learning, and how it's programming. And he says eventually this is going to end up bad. So, pull the plug. Listen to Cut 11.
But at some point, these systems will get powerful enough that you'll be able to take the agents and they'll start to work together. At some point, people believe that these agents will develop their own language. And that's the point when we don't understand what we're doing. You know what we should do? Pull the plug.
Yeah, they develop their own language, so they're talking to each other in a language we don't understand.
Yeah, and they're the thought there, I guess the end game, so to speak, is then they outsmart the human. And that's what he would be.
This sounds like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
It does. He seems to prescribe to what I would call the Terminator version of AI's future.
Yeah, I mentioned this before when we talk about AI, but everything he's saying and the progression of AI is identical to the movie of Eagle Eye, which I watched years ago.
That's a great movie.
Who was that star of that?
Shia
LaBeouf. Yeah.
And what happened in that movie?
I could give it away for those who haven't seen it, but that's fine.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. There was twin brothers, and one was working with the government on an AI project, an AI project.
This movie was made 20 years ago or so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And one of the twin brothers was wanting to whistleblow. The twin brother working for the government whistleblew on the AI being exactly the way the Google guy just described it. We got to pull the plug.
Okay.
Well, the government took him out, and then the twin brother was approached by the good side, a few people working in government that were the good people, and asked him to basically pick up the trail or pick up the mission of his brother that was killed. And he picked up the mission only to find out that it's the AI, that everybody he was talking to on the phone was an AI voice. Everybody that he was working for was the AI computer. And he didn't know any. He thought the whole time he was working for a human, but he was actually working for the AI who was replicating people's voices through text. They were communicating through text.
Ooh, wow!
It controlled every bit. It controlled
the
all
red lights,
cameras, the stoplights.
You got to see it.
Yeah,
but it was a futuristic movie 20 years ago, but now that's reality.
Right.
Oh yeah. AI works in the same way that the movie portrays it, except for the government hijacks and it uses it for evil.
Well,
I'm sorry, AI hijacks the government.
AI hijacks the government in the movie.
In the movie, AI says that the
president says so and so. Yeah.
That the danger to humanity, to the people, is the government, and so it had determined to kill everybody in the government.
Yeah.
At a joint session of Congress, it was going to use a bomb.
So what did he do? He actually literally pulled the plug and killed the AI. It was the end thing of, because he had a choice.
That was his choice.
Yeah, it was his choice.
Or either
After
humanity
he got shot.
dies.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah.
Have you seen this movie, Ray?
I've never even heard of it.
You should see it. It's a good
worth
movie.
it. Yeah.
Quite the thriller.
After we get off the program, you got to go watch it. It's that soon.
Yeah.
But at the end, he pulls the plug.
Yep, he does the right thing.
Yeah, that's spoiler alert. But probably.
I'm not sure that's going to be possible.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Oh, you mean in reality?
No, that's right.
In
Yeah,
reality.
I agree.
Yeah.
Not the movie, but in reality, AI.
In reality, I'm not sure it's going to be possible to quote pull the plug.
I would agree with that. Yep.
I tell you
We've
what,
got so many plugs. They're doing
Gives you hope, though,
That's
Ray.
right.
There's some hope there if you.
Well, now Elon Musk is one of the smartest guys in the world, like him or not. I like him, but he has is he a mixed review guy on AI? Or
He's a little. He wants to emphasize the positive, the Star Trek version of AI, as I call it, because there's very little he can do to stop the bad stuff. So you might as well go with the good while you.
But he's saying AI is going to take over many jobs in the world.
No, his robots are going to take over many jobs in the world. It's not just AI. He is building robots, the human robots that will be able to do almost anything that humans could do, including pounding nails and fixing plumbing. And at $20 a piece, he's going to have a $7 trillion company.
So how does this work? I'm all right. I'm asking because
For a friend.
For a friend. How does this? I understand what robots are, and I have seen his robots that look like humans
and that act and move like humans. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you know? Would you call up a plumber? Or you don't call them up, you order one over, and over comes a...
No, you own one of these $20,000 robots. It's your personal valet, or at least it starts that way.
And you just program in what you want to
And you ask it, you don't have to program because it's AI. It's already learned. You just tell it, fix the faucet or vacuum the rug.
Man, think
do my
about,
laundry.
I guess Honeydew's just going to go away.
Well, I watched the futuristic TV series. I'm sorry, I watched the TV series.
Yeah.
Similar to Law and Order, and what happened on that one? The AI, a guy behind a screen, was manipulating AI to pretend like he was another officer, to another officer, and got that officer to do something that ended up costing that officer its life. But similar to the what is it called nowadays where people call and say there's
swatting?
What's that again?
Swatting?
He's swatted, but he did AI using his officer friend's voice.
I remember watching a documentary called The Jetsons, where
yes, there was many episodes of that documentary.
Yes.
That's right.
We need
George Jetson.
This is.
But anyway, this is. So what's ahead for us the next 5 to 10 years is going to be.
We have no idea.
We have no idea,
No clue.
but the prediction is there's going to be a lot of good, but potentially a lot of bad too, right?
We might not be around.
There's very little legislation and laws on this stuff too. That's
to keep guardrails on it.
Well, President Trump did an executive order trying to encourage the development. It's kind of the new space shot, as it's called, where he's asking, putting together all the AI concerns in this country, the private businesses and the government research and everything, and he's hoping to control the market. But control is a very loose word. We don't know who's going to control who. I got to tell you, the things that I'm hearing, we have to have. In fact, I'm going to ask Brent to maybe see when we can book Colonel Bob McGinnis. He's got 3 books out on AI. He is scared to death too. But he has he says it's really tracking closely with prophetic scripture. He sees that all over the place. I think we need to. It's about time we had him on.
Yeah.
Can a college football fan manipulate AI that would cause your school to make it to the finals? Steve?
Hey, we're working on it for the Sugar Bowl right now.
I would think that it could
we're on that.
Put disinformation.
Oh, Ray.
We're working on that.
Ole Miss Rebel, Ray.
That's right. We're working on it for the Sugar Bowl.
That's right. The Sugar Bowl is Thursday night.
Thursday night, right. Working on it hard.
So we got some big games ahead in college football world that AI is not going to have anything to do with.
Not yet. Not this year.
If AI takes over college football, I'm just going to an island somewhere.
Any of us could be replaced.
You can go to France, right? like George Clooney or Georges Clooney, because he's now a French citizen.
Take an island, but if I stayed on the island too long, I'd be the end of me anyway. So I want to congratulate. We'll maybe talk. Ray, you won't be with us again. You won't be on the show tomorrow, right?
Right.
And then okay. So Thursday, folks should know our offices and studios are closed. So we'll have special programming on, including a special by Ray Pritchard.
That's right.
I know him.
During this show. So stay tuned for that. We've got that coming up on Thursday. But tomorrow night, Ohio State and Miami play. And then
big game.
And then
Tuesday.
And then Oregon and Texas Tech play.
Be a big game too.
That's the first game on Thursday, New Year's Day.
Right.
So we're back to having big games on New Year's Day. I love that.
I like that.
That's an American tradition.
Then
Remember, we all grew up watching the bowl games.
That's right. Then Indiana and Alabama in the Rose Bowl
in the afternoon.
Yeah.
They're saying that's going to be a slog fest because it's rained so much in Southern California.
Yeah.
They're going to tear up the field there at the Rose Bowl. But then you got Ole Miss and Georgia as the nightcap.
Right.
In New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl.
Yep. 4 great games coming up.
And Ray, did you go to Ole Miss or are you just a Rebel fan?
My dad went to Ole Miss back in the day.
Okay.
So it's just been passed along from my dad to me and now my boys. You know?
I got
it's
you.
A family thing.
Well, Ole Miss they've arrived. They're playing with the big boys.
That's right.
Playing with the big boys now.
Was that a song?
It was from a movie called about Moses.
Give me a spoiler alert to that.
Moses takes the children of Israel out for Egypt.
Steve, you're groovy, brother.
So boss.
We'll pick that up.
You got a prediction on the Ole Miss score?
Oh, Ole Miss and Georgia. I'll predict it tomorrow, maybe.
Okay.
That's right.
Ole Miss and Georgia.
The last second.
Or at halftime, right?
Hotty-totty. We'll
a couple of SEC schools going at it on Thursday night. All right, hope you have a great afternoon, everybody, and we'll see you back here tomorrow with more of today's issues.